Hello everyone, welcome back to another tropical update. Today we'll be talking about Tropical Storm Elsa and where it will make impacts. Now this tropical storm has just made landfall a couple hours ago in the eastern portion of the Florida Panhandle, as you can see here on the infrared satellite imagery. So it turned out it just moved just off the west coast of the state of Florida. So one of the cities that actually really got impacted by this is Tallahassee, which is just a few miles west of actually where it made landfall. These tropical storm impacts were actually the main story for today. This is really the main topic just this past week. Although impacts will actually continue to diminish as we move into this evening and overnight. It also is actually expected to move away by the area by that time. So to start off, we were very gusty, strong winds. We actually did even have a hurricane warning that actually remained in effect from the, I believe it was the Steinhatchee southward along the Dixie County coast. However, now we actually have a tropical storm warning that remains in effect for the remainder of the southeast Big Bend, the portions of south central Georgia, in the Valdosta area. Tropical storm force winds could actually cause down tree limbs, power outages, and loose items to really just be blown around here. Now, as far as storm surge, a storm surge of around 3 to 4 feet will be definitely possible across the Appalachian Bay, mainly off the western coast of Florida, in the eastern part of the Panhandle, where it actually made landfall. So next we actually move on to flooding in the same region where Elsa is actually making landfall, which includes some flooding that's possible across the eastern third of the area, mainly due to a combination of already saturated soils due to past rains we've had over the past week, and the potential for heavy rainfall just from Tropical Storm Elsa. A flood watch is actually in effect for these areas just east of Albany and Tallahassee today. Now, the tornado potential is actually there as well, as a tornado or two will actually be possible across the far southeast Big Bend by today, mainly in the eastern side of Elsa. That's where we actually mainly see the tornado potential. It's on the the northeastern quadrant of any kind of tropical storm or hurricane. Now, as far as rip currents, a high risk of rip currents will continue along the Panhandle beaches as well today from the remainder of Elsa's impacts. Mainly due to increased swell and long periods of rain. In the wake of Elsa, a seasonably moist environment will actually remain in place, which actually typically supports the typical summertime, scattered to numerous mainly afternoon showers and thunderstorms. This will actually be the same story we're seeing through Friday. Actually, the high temperatures will gradually be in the mid to upper 80s, with overnight lows on the muggy side actually getting into the low 70s here, possibly even reaching the upper 60s as well. Then again, we also have seasonably high dew points as well. They just saw a very high humidity, which also is usually accompanied with high dew points. Now, our antecedent conditions have been especially wet across the entire region, with some localized rainfall totals in the last 3 days. Some actually exceeding 6 inches. Area rivers are actually running above normal for this time of year, but most are actually below the action stage. According to the GFS here, the heaviest rains with Elsa will actually be mainly moving along the eastern side of the track. Elsa actually made landfall over to near Dixie County just this morning. Given that Elsa will actually be moving forward at a moderate pace, rainfall amounts will actually be anywhere from 2 to 4 inches, with isolated amounts up to possibly 6 inches. Especially in the localized flooding, though we may actually see those are actually expected. These amounts occurring over already wet conditions in the southeast, very along that Florida Big Bend, could actually lead to localized flooding, as I just mentioned. Additionally, if these heavier amounts fall into the Withlacoochee Basin in South Georgia, minor river flooding could actually occur in this basin, especially upstream of the confluence with the Suwannee River. But in the longer term, depending on the exact placement of the heaviest rains, only modest rises would be possible in this Suwannee River, though the system does not actually appear to have enough rainfall to generate water levels above minor flood stage on the mainstream Suwannee. However, you also have to remember that river forecasts only include the first 40 hours of rainfall. Now we're actually going to move a little more inland near, little more north, I should actually say, into Atlanta, another big city that are actually impacted. The center of the tropical storm Elsa actually is just currently positioned here, according to the GFS, near the North Florida coast, and will actually continue to track northeastward through the afternoon and evening today. But overall, the forecast remains mostly on the track with the previous issuance. Widespread showers and isolated thunderstorms are ongoing to the southeast of the forecasted area in association with the outermost rain bands. Then again, these rain bands are actually expected to push into the east central Georgia corridor over the next few hours here. Now, with these surface-based Cape values already near 1,000 joules per kilogram, and really around inland the central Georgia portion there, it's actually what we're going to be seeing here for the next couple of hours. So we have those high surface-based Cape values along with 0 to 1 kilometer shear and 0 to 1 kilometer helicity. with this is actually forecast to increase to actually 20 to 25 knots. So respectively, with all these factors considered, these rain bands are actually need to be monitored for brief tornadoes this afternoon and evening. So it would actually not surprise me, especially where this whole Atlanta, especially where central Georgia is going to be positioned here, may actually be getting affected by the northeastern corridor of the tropical storm. We may actually see a couple of tornadoes spawn here. Would not surprise me. And actually move a little further into Columbia, South Carolina here. But actually, again, it will be traveling inland here for a while, still packing that punch. We actually may even see this will actually be on Thursday with some gusts, possibly above 30 miles per hour in the eastern Midlands. It'll actually be lingering anomalously high moisture as well, and shortwave energy will actually lead to additional convection. As you can see, it's actually displayed here across South Carolina. Surface-based Cape values really anywhere from 1,000 to possibly even 1,500 here in some areas. Yeah, it's actually almost about 2,000 here. So very high Cape values there, so a lot of instability also going to be seen throughout this region. It's actually going to be, this convection will actually continue to develop across the forecast area. Thursday afternoon is what we're looking at actually. Again, another story we've actually been seeing are these high temperatures. I'm actually going to position it to Thursday here, Thursday afternoon actually. And again, we'll actually see these high temperatures will actually range across, ranging from the 80s south across the CSRA in southern Midlands. It's around 80 degrees over the Midlands, northern. Now, during the overnight hours, we're expect to see widespread rain, really just blanketing over the entire state here. It'll actually lift northward into the area. Like I said, mainly going by the main cities here, mainly around Columbia, South Carolina. Although really the whole state will see this widespread heavy rain. So the main threat will actually be in the Midlands, in the CSRA region will actually be heavy rain and gusty winds as some stronger convective bands actually move through, as we've been seeing with high convection and surface-based heat values, especially across the eastern Midlands as well. The rest of these widespread amounts between 1 to 3 inches, with locally higher amounts that can actually be expected throughout Thursday. Localized flooding will actually be possible tonight into Thursday morning. Then again, the eastern half of the state, or really I should say of the forecast area, will actually be in a favorable quadrant, as I said, really the northeastern quadrant there. For a few weak tornadoes overnight. However, the tornado threat actually appears to be more low due to limited instability. Because if we actually go back to surface-based Cape values here, you actually see that they begin to decrease and diminish by that night once it really begins to approach the area and it's in the northeastern quadrant. So it actually decreases significantly, only around 100 to 300 here by the in the northern Midlands. So that'll be the main reason why we're seeing such low tornado parameter amounts here. So after this, Elsa will once again be lifting northeast of the Midlands by midday on Thursday. So roughly around Thursday afternoon, I'd say. So after that, it then moves on to around, and then it actually moves more northeastward. They're moving a little more east actually than usual into North Carolina. Again, look at this widespread rain, guys. It's going to be really just a washout throughout this week due to this tropical storm. It's going to be the main story we're going to be focusing on here. There's still quite an uncertainty is with Elsa as it actually moves through central North Carolina on Thursday. Though that trend has actually been itching more westward actually. Now obviously this will actually impact the precipitation, wind, and possible tornado threats as well, and the locations where they will actually be maximized. But then again, regardless of the exact track, the greatest impacts will actually be on the eastern side of the storm. Elsa will be fairly fast moving, so we're not going to expect to see too much flooding, although it will dump a bunch of heavy rain, so localized flooding will certainly be possible as well. Then again, it will actually be moving into the area early Thursday and exiting to the northeast Thursday evening and early into Thursday night. Although the expectation is really still that Elsa will be, though the expectation here is that Elsa will be a tropical depression as it moves through central North Carolina. That's actually what the 5-day cone here is actually predicting from the National Hurricane Center. Rainfall totals will actually, with the latest guidance, are actually between 1 to 3 inches. The local maximums of 3 to 5 inches are even possible here. Given the expected tropical air mass and factoring just the overall forecast, rainy conditions will certainly be present, as well as highs. As far as temperatures will actually be actually moving on to Friday here. Again, highs will actually struggle to even reach 80 degrees, while lows in the upper 60s to 70s are actually even expected. You can see it really cools down here as the tropical storm begins to approach the region. Next, it actually moves. Next, it'll actually continue to move even further into Virginia. You can actually see that the main impacts are really going to be. You can actually see where the center is actually moving. It'll be mainly in eastern Virginia, really southeastern Virginia, although some of the impacts we're going to be seeing as far as heavier rain will really be further into the Appalachians here in western Virginia. really that I-81 corridor as well. Really, Virginia Beach will also be seeing a lot of this rain and getting a lot of these impacts as well, where all the attention turns to Tropical Storm Elsa as we head into Thursday and Thursday night. So like I said, it's mainly going to be fast moving here. It's really going to just track on through here, through South Carolina, North Carolina, and even getting into Virginia, really all throughout Thursday, really in the span, I'd say, of Wednesday night to Friday morning. So Thursday's really going to be a big day here as it just really just rushes through these three states here. Moving from the southeast to the mid-Atlantic. We'll get to that in just a second. Although Tropical Storm Watch is actually now in effect for northeast North Carolina and southeast Virginia, and even the lower eastern shore. Now, heavy rainfall is actually expected to really be the main threat here with this system, as PWatts are actually forecast to climb in the excess of 2 inches for much of the area by Thursday evening. We're likely to see an axis of 2 to 3 inches of rainfall, locally higher amounts, even adding up to 5 inches across the portions of northeast North Carolina and southern Virginia. It should also be noted that 0Z deterministic models, especially the European and NAM, have actually also tried to spread some more of the higher QPF totals further to the west to the Piedmont region. The WPC forecast is actually has a 2-day slight risk for excessive rainfall, but generally the eastern half of the forecast area with a marginal risk for the remainder of the area. Then again, we also have those flash flood watches will likely be needed for at least the southeast forecast area later today. In addition to the heavy rainfall, tropical storm force winds, wind gusts will actually be possible Thursday evening into Thursday night for southeastern and eastern portions of the area, and the extent of the wind gusts will actually heavily depend on how far west Tropical Storm Elsa actually tracks. As of now, though, the most likely time of arrival of tropical storm force winds to wind gusts is Thursday evening into Thursday night. Last but not least, we also have that isolated tornado potential. We actually have an isolated tornado or two that cannot be ruled out to the east of the forecast track by Thursday evening and Thursday night in this region here. This is mainly due to a forecast of 0 to 1 kilometer SRH values around 100 to 200. I actually even believe the Storm Prediction Center has actually placed the eastern half of the area in a 2-day marginal risk to account for the tornado potential. I actually continue to follow the latest forecast models from the National Hurricane Center for additional details on Tropical Storm Elsa. Now, once again, Tropical Storm Elsa actually quickly tracks northeast of the area. Only really by Friday morning, it's going to enter the Mid-Atlantic region. So also, even going to last to Friday afternoon, we're going to see scattered showers and thunderstorms that will be possible Friday afternoon, Friday evening, as a weak front actually sets up across the region in the wake of Elsa. Or even pack a punch in the Mid-Atlantic here with Tropical Storm Elsa, or the remnants of the storm, I should really say. So it's really going to be a tropical depression, possibly even more of a subtropical storm than that. But the remnants of this tropical storm, or the remnants of the storm, are currently forecast to pass really just across the mouth of Chesapeake Bay and up the Mid-Atlantic coast Thursday night into Friday. As the system makes its way towards our area here in Jersey, we should see an increase in low-level moisture here, as you can see here on the GFS model, with the potential of showers and thunderstorms as the system passes by. The threat for heavy rain is actually likely, and PWatts look to be around 2 inches plus on Thursday night. That's actually according to the local National Weather Service in Mount Holly. Actually, as a result, though, they have gone ahead and added the mention of heavy rain to their forecast by Thursday night. But then again, as this system actually continues to move northeast, we should expect things to start clearing out here roughly around later on Friday afternoon into, and believe it or not, some of the remnants of post-tropical storm Elsa will actually reach Maine. While the main focus for Friday, no pun intended, will actually continue to be Tropical Storm Elsa, as it most likely tracks towards Cape Cod here, is what we're going to be mainly be seeing just off the coast. It's not really going to affect inland Maine too much here, as we see here on the radar. Although then again, a widespread 1 to 3 inches of rainfall is actually likely to the northwest of the track, but the exact track remains uncertain at this time due to all the models not coming to such an agreement yet as it reaches this region. Although there actually is fairly high confidence that the rainfall directly associated with the tropical storm will really be displaced to the south and east of where the predecessor rain event sets up, with an area low rainfall between the two features. But then again, based on the National Hurricane Center forecast track, the heaviest rainfall directly associated with the storm will most likely occur along the coastal plain to about the foothills Additionally, southeast facing slopes in the mountains of Maine here would likely see some unslope enhancement in this setup here, which we're actually facing. However, any shift farther west in the track will actually shift this threat even further east actually, and actually conversely, I'm expecting it to shift farther east. Would really keep most of the moisture offshore. But in terms of models, the GFS, GEFS, and NAM actually support an overall farther east and drier solution, while the Euro and Euro ensembles and Canadian support the more western wetter solutions. Although, like I said, we really have more of a disagreement here, as we're actually, this is really going to be by the end of the week, around Friday. So really, how can you really expect them to come to such an agreement? It's only Wednesday. But right now, really only viewing the GFS model here. Elsa is actually expected to make its closest pass late Friday afternoon, and it will then be moving through the Canadian Maritimes Friday night into Saturday. But in her wake, the trough helping to steer the storm to our east, or actually to Maine's east, will actually cross New England. Really, I'd say Saturday, bringing the chance of some pop-up afternoon showers. Then again, we'll actually see this ridging that will begin to set up. That really build into the region for the second half of the weekend, so mainly around Saturday, Sunday. But this ridge really, this ridge will actually bring a return to slightly warmer than average temperatures as we actually move just past here. You can see here on Friday, really actually getting to the 50s and low 60s, so very cooler temperatures here. But as we move into the later portion of the weekend, we actually rise back up into the upper 60s, possibly even reaching 70 here, especially as you move just a little further into the weekend. Here you can see it's almost reaching 80 here actually in some regions. So we're still going to have a warm up here as this ridge actually enters the region. But at this point, it actually looks like it's actually likely that the ridge will be limited in how amplified it will become across the northeast due to a trough extending through the Great Lakes. But anyway, guys, I'm getting really into detail here as far as this tropical storm. It's mainly going to be moving right up the eastern coast here over the next few days here. It'll really mainly exit the region by this weekend, I'd say. That's what the models are really beginning to predict here. Although where it's actually going to make impacts out here in the northeast and New England area is still kind of uncertain here. But just remember to stay weather aware here and frequently check for updates. I know I will also be checking these models to keep you guys updated. So like I said, I'll try to keep you guys updated the best I can via Instagram and YouTube. My Instagram is actually Weatherman. It's actually Weatherman_315. But until then, I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay weather aware.